Hello, everyone. Hello, hello. Thank you for being here. So, we are going to cover a really crazy, very complicated, sorted cult today. It's called the Zizians, and I'll explain as we go along. There's a whole timeline to it, and hopefully, I can kind of pull it together and give you an idea of what's going on with this cult. And I'm going to jump right into it and give you the whole timeline of it all. And then please send me your questions and comments. If you're watching on the replay, you can put, comment below in the video. And yeah, let's delve into this. I've been doing such a deep dive the last day or two, and I just spent the last 2+ hours doing a little bit of a presentation. I've got some slides to show you that I whipped together, and I ran out of time towards the end, so I'm gonna have to rely on my notes for the last segment. And I also want to play you something from the news. So, okay, I'm going to pull this up and explain as we go along. So we have the Zizians, and the founder of this group is originally, his name was Jack Lasota. I will be trying to explain the names and identities as people as I go along. They are mostly transgender individuals. I don't mean any disrespect, but I am using the names and identities that I have gathered from the police reports. So whatever their legal name is most likely what they've been using. And again, I don't mean any disrespect. I'm not meaning to make any political statements. I'm just doing my best to present the information as I have gathered it. So this, I put a little map of the U.S. and as you see, there's California. There's a victim. This gentleman's name is Curtis Lynn, and then all the way over to the East Coast, you've got Pennsylvania, and there's a couple there. Their name Richard and Rita Zajko, I think. I'm not sure how to pronounce it. And then in Vermont, my home state, which is really how this kind of got on my radar, and my mind was blown. There was a border patrol person named, I know his last name, David Malin, and he was killed as well. So it's just awful. Some of the perpetrators are also, the cult members have been killed as well. There's 6 deaths that I know of altogether, and I'm going to start at the very beginning and see how we can put this all together. Okay, so in the beginning we have, this is Jack Lasota. He also goes by the name Ziz, and he, she, they, I'm not sure what they go by right now, but is the leader and the founder of the Zizians. They were born in Alaska in the Fairbanks area, and his father was a researcher, and strangely enough, an artificial intelligence researcher, which Ziz would come to be against AI, later on. But Ziz himself, Jack Lasota, earned a bachelor's degree in computer science at the University of Alaska in Fairbanks, where his father was a researcher. So I think he was born in 1991, so that would put him somewhere in his early 30s, right? Early to mid 30s. And so he became a computer scientist. He worked for NASA for a while. He interned at NASA. And then in 2017, 2018, he moved to the San Francisco area, and he happened to know someone who owned an old tugboat in Alaska, and he recruited a crew to I guess sail, drive, I'm not sure what you do with a tugboat, bring it down to the San Francisco Bay Area. And he teamed up with Gwen Danielson, who had a like philosophy. They both had like philosophies. They were both vegans, They were from the rationalist movement, and we can talk a little bit about that later. Is very wild, the offshoot that they've created from that movement, which seemed pretty rational at first, but they really went off the rails with it. And they are both transgender. They had this ideology, and they decided them and Jack's other followers were going to live on this tugboat. Now, you can see probably from that slide, it's not in great condition. It was very rusty. It was leaking oil, and as you can imagine, especially the stringent environmental laws, especially in California, the environmentalists and the authorities were not happy with it. So they seized the boat. They put it in an area where it was locked up, basically in the bay, and it began to sink. And it was something estimated like $2 million that it was going to cost to get this boat out of the harbor, or out of the bay. So, as luck would have it, Jack and Gwen met this gentleman. You can see his picture to the right, Curtis Lind, and he was an older gentleman who also owned a boat in the bay. And he sold his boat, and he actually bought a piece of property with these. I think it was like storage units, and Jack and Gwen had several, trying to remember if it was 4 or maybe 6 box trucks. And those were kind of come into play later on, these box trucks. But they were renting for something like $2,000 a month on the property. And so that was going on at that time, 2017, 2018. Now, in 2019, also in California, I believe it was in Sonoma County. Whoops, sorry. Yes. So Sonoma County, California, these 4 individuals, it was Jack and Gwen, and also Alexander Leatham and Emma Bordhanian, I think they pronounce it. They went to protest wearing Guy Fawkes masks and long robes. They went to protest at this rationalist convention or something like that. And they caused quite a stir. They got in trouble. The cops were called. They got arrested, and the charges were conspiracy, obstructing an officer, and wearing a mask for unlawful purposes. And there was a big to-do about it. 2 years later, these 4 individuals, they brought a lawsuit against the county for discrimination and other charges. And I guess they were dropped eventually because they stopped showing up to the hearings to pursue the lawsuit. So that was in 2019. And things were maybe a little bit quiet for a few years. And then, strangely enough, August 19th, and this becomes a little bit of a pattern with our friend Jack, Ziz here. He tends to like to fake his death and play dead. Maybe he's part possum, I'm not sure. But on August 19, 2022, the authorities were called out to, I believe it was the San Francisco Bay again, or that area, saying that somebody had called in a 911 call that he had fallen off a boat and they weren't able to find him. There was no body ever found, and there was no death certificate or anything. But his family proceeded to put a obituary out in the Fairbanks area where he was from, and it says Jack Lasota obituary, and this is his picture. Jack Amadeus Lasota left our lives, and that was his middle name, left our lives but not our hearts on August 19th after a boating accident. Loving adventure, friends, family, music, blueberries, hiking, computer games, and animals, you are missed. Okay, so he wasn't dead, and he's still very much alive. And so that happened. And 2022 was a crazy year for the Zizians, as you'll see. So that was in August. Then November 13th, 2022, if you remember, our elderly friend here, Curtis Lynn, who was renting to this group on his property, renting space for their box trucks and things, was brutally attacked. I believe it was because he was issuing a eviction notice, as far as I can tell. And these 2 people, I want to make sure I get their names right. Yes, Alexander Leatham and Emma Bordhanian, and along with someone else named Suri, which I wasn't able to get their picture, brutally attacked Curtis Lind with knives and samurai swords, or at least one. He was struck to the chest with the sword. He managed to get a gun and shoot both Alexander and Emma. Emma to the right here, she was killed, and the murder charges, were actually placed on Alexander and Suri because they were blamed for her death. So even though it was Curtis that shot her, but it was in self-defense. So that happened. And then not even 2 months later, and this is very strange, January 2nd, 2023, there was a couple, Richard and Rita Zajko, and you can see they had a beautiful house in Pennsylvania. I believe it was in Delaware County. And they were found dead in their home. And Michelle Zajko, which is their daughter, is a prime suspect. Hasn't said that she was arrested yet. Hasn't said she was charged. Very strange that this happened a solid 2 years ago, and they're still just calling her a person of interest. But our friend up there, Jack, was taken into custody in relation to this murder, this double homicide, because there was a call to a hotel room, and he was in the hotel room, and he was charged with a couple of small charges, which is crazy, but he was basically released on bail. And as they were taking his picture, you can tell he's fairly dramatic. I mean, he must be, to be a cult leader, you have to be fairly charismatic and a little bit dramatic, I believe. And here he is, he's faking his death or whatever, faking passing out during his mugshot. So there you have it. Yeah, and this poor couple was brutally killed. It's just horrible. And so he was in connection with this as well. And then this is so wild what happens after this. Okay, so just remember Michelle Zajko. And this is Maximilian Snyder. Let's see if I can write. Yes, Maximilian Snyder. And this is one picture. I think I have some more pictures of her. This is Teresa Youngblood. Young and then B-L-U-T. Okay, so this is crazy, guys. So just a few weeks ago, right, in January 2025, on the 17th, Curtis Lind, back in California, was set to testify about the first attack when Emma was killed, and these three people attacked him. He lost his eye. You can see, he's blind in one eye here. He has, scars and all kinds of wounds and everything. Well, they proceeded to finish him off, and this was actually the Maximilian Snyder guy. There was maybe I can play it a little bit later, but there was a gas station attendant, I believe, or a garage attendant that actually witnessed the stabbing and was testifying about it. So he was killed. This time he didn't survive the attack. And Maximilian, here's a picture of him here. And also, oh no, I'm sorry. No, this is Maximilian. Second to the going from left to right here. And that's him right there. Okay. And now Teresa, who is on the end here, and the two ends, okay, there's Teresa, and I know it's confusing. I'm trying to get it straight myself. And Felix Boxholt, something like that, were driving in Vermont. They had been spotted by the authorities looking suspicious. They were wearing all black. It looked like they were armed, and they were under surveillance, and they were stopped by Border Patrol. And this gentleman, David Malin, stopped them. They were armed, and the gentleman on the end, who also goes by Ophelia, she whipped out a gun. The other, Teresa, pulled out a gun, and there was shots fired. Teresa killed the Border Patrol agent, David. I'm not sure if David or someone else killed Ophelia, Felix Bockholt, who was a German national. They're all computer scientists, actually. And so Teresa was brought into custody. She's actually been sent to New Hampshire because there's no federal. I happen to know this for a fact. I don't know why I know this. Maybe I learned it in school or something, but there's no federal prison in Vermont for some reason. So she's in New Hampshire right now, but she's been charged. I'm not sure if she's charged with murder yet. I know she's charged with illegal firearms, and the firearms were purchased by none other than that daughter person here, Michelle. And her parents were brutally murdered. She also owns land in Coventry, Vermont, which is where they were stopped, I believe, either in Coventry or near Coventry. And so she's connected. Also, our friend who has been charged with Curtis Lynn's murder had just applied for a marriage license with none other than Teresa, who is being held for David Lynn's murder. And as you remember, Maximilian is has been charged with Curtis Lynn's murder. So all kinds of crazy stuff. Yeah, this is what I have for now. Let me know if you have any questions. I hope I laid it out in a way that you can kind of connect the dots. And obviously this Ziz guy, aka Jack LaSoda, is tied to all of this. And I believe it's kind of like a little bit of a brainwashing thing. It kind of reminds me of, Charles Manson. So yeah, I'm going to minimize that. And yeah, isn't that nuts, you guys? It's just so crazy. Julie O'Connell, the fact that they have little respect for law enforcement should be a red flag. Yeah, absolutely. Hey, honey, just back from errands. Crazy windy sunny day. Yes, it is crazy here. It's been blowing like crazy. Totally, Jersey. I will never understand anyone who cares so little about human life, and it's pretty sad and scary how many people in this world are like that. Yeah, and I believe in this case, it kind of can be tied to their bizarre beliefs because it's an offshoot. It's kind of like the sects, the different groups and cults that we talk about that come out of religions. This is a philosophy and a ideology that came out of the rationalist movement. And actually, just for accuracy, I'll read the definition of it. But my understanding is basically how it sounds. Rationalist movement. Okay. Is it, guys? Okay. I'm just going to pull this up so I can read it real quick. Sorry, I'm terrible at this. Okay. And just as an aside, I've been accused, even I guess recently, of pretending that I know stuff by putting up things. No, actually, the reason why I put things up is because I don't know stuff. So, and I've never pretended to know anything. That's why I look stuff up. But I just thought that was really funny, really laughable. So, anyways, okay, rationalism in Western philosophy, the view that regards reason as the chief source and test of knowledge. Sounds reasonable, right? Holding that reality itself has an inherently logical structure, the rationalist asserts that a class of truths exists that the intellect can grasp directly. There are, according to the rationalists, certain rational principles, especially in logic and mathematics, and even in ethics and metaphysics, that are so fundamental that to deny them is to fall into contradiction. The rationalist's confidence in reason and proof tends, therefore, to detract from their respect for other ways of knowing. And I think that's a key. One sec, guys. I just got to get a sip of water. Oops. So it said it can have a disregard or a disrespect for other ways of knowing. And so when you're taking that to an extreme, the rationalist movement, you're rationalizing, when people say like, oh, well, you're rationalizing your bad behavior, by explaining it away, right? And so kind of has a little bit of that connotation. And I don't think in and of itself, the rationalist movement doesn't seem that harmful, but taken to the extreme, which, extremes are bad, right? The ideology of like the Zizians, where they can rationalize anything. They can rationalize killing people. They can rationalize all these strange beliefs that they have, that the different hemispheres of the mind will house different genders, and that they're trying to kill each other, like your mind. Oh, like, what does that sound like? A little bit of mental illness. And like with me, with my call, it was kind of that fighting within yourself. It just really crazy, very convoluted messaging that I'm sure his followers are probably like, what's this guy talking about? Okay, yeah, I believe it, right? And just kind of going along with it. And that's, I believe, how they can justify and rationalize their crazy behavior. And just as an aside, and the many videos and articles that I read about this and watched about it, it kind of kept coming up that they called themselves ethical vegans, to the point where they were so extreme that they believed that anybody that wasn't a vegan was evil and even worthy of death. I mean, and they only wanted to deal with vegans. Like when they were arrested at the protest, they only wanted vegan lawyers, which was, I guess, very hard to find. So they weren't able. I guess they had to defend themselves. I'm not sure how that worked out or didn't work out, but yeah, that was a little bit wild in and of itself. I would not want to tangle with Jack LaSoda. No, he sounds very disturbed, to say the least. Very sick. James Steele, lots of fingers in the pies here. Yes, it was just crazy how they were connected, and it was like California and Alaska and Pennsylvania and then recently in Vermont. It's just wild. I don't know why they always end up from Vermont, but yeah, it's just so crazy. I want to do another stream about all the cults that either have landed in Vermont after getting in trouble, which has happened, like the Mother God cult. Part of them ended up in Vermont and part in Hawaii. A lot of them flee to Hawaii as well, like the Buddha field ones. So yeah, there's a lot of fingers in the pie, a lot of people that keep popping up. I thought that was really crazy, wild, that the Maximilian guy, Snyder, had been charged with Curtis's death, and then it turns out that he had filed for a marriage license with Teresa, who shot the border patrol agent in Vermont. So, and then on top of it all, the daughter, who was a person of interest in the double murder in Pennsylvania, ended up being one who bought those guns that killed David, or one of the guns at least, and had bought property here in Vermont as well. So it's just so wild. Asen, when you take good things and drag it through the mud. Yeah. Oh, this is not, I know, Joel, isn't it? Proof that this can happen anywhere. Yeah. And I will be very surprised if there's not a documentary about it very soon, because it's definitely documentary material, I would say. Julia, sounds like a high control group. Absolutely. Positively. Asen, especially the radical vegan thing, rubs me the wrong way. They give us rest a bad name. Yeah. I mean, there's nothing wrong with being vegetarian, vegan, whatever, as long as you're not like hurting other people with your beliefs. Yeah, that's how I believe in pretty much everything. This is a good question. No, as far as I know, Jack is still at large, and I don't know if there's warrants out for his arrest. I would think so, but maybe not. I don't know. And Michelle uh, Za- Zajko, she has been, named as a person of interest in her parents' death, but that was 2 years ago now. So I'm not sure what is going on with it, but I think they need to, yeah, they need to be reined in. But Teresa Youngblood, yes, she is in custody, and so is Maximilian, and they were engaged, I guess. But yeah, they're both. I know that Maximilian had been charged with murder. Um, I assume the first degree, and so he's probably going away for a long time, if not forever. So, okay, I'm just scrolling up to see. Jack looks a little bit like the actor Freddie Fox. Yeah, I don't know who that is. Yeah. Can't be Jack. He's dead. Does he pretend to sleep? I don't know. He's playing possum. Yeah. I know. Just crazy. Yeah, we got to go warm up by the stove. It is so cold today. Blueberries are naturally grown in Alaska. We got all ears is here today. Hey, AB. Good to see you. Reason Eagle, seems counterintuitive that vegans would be violent. All this craziness makes me lean toward being a lot tougher on crime, especially cults. Yeah, exactly. That's the name of I think why a lot of us are doing this, right? To bring awareness and hopefully, I mean, we were talking the other day about the aspect of kids in school really need to have cult awareness programs, I believe. Some kind of, I wish I had some kind of education, course of control education or something like that. Yeah. So 2 are arrested and 2 are yes. And actually, Alexander, got his last name, from the first attack on Curtis was up for being charged with Emma's murder, even though it was Curtis that killed her. So, but because they were attacking him, he was doing it in self-defense. He wasn't in trouble, except that he was, he ended up dead because he was killed because he was a key witness in the case, which was coming up. I mean, even though it was like 2 or 3 years later, you know how court cases take so long, criminal cases especially. So yeah, there's some other people that are involved, like Siri person. Hey, what you got? Oh, thank you.
For warming up, and
oh, thank you.
I'm to warm up myself. So
thank you, honey. Oh, it's nice and hot. The coffee.
Yeah. It's chilly and windy, crazy out there.
I know. Thank you. That's crazy. Oh, I didn't know that, Julia. I worked with a vegan and she had many health issues because she was, can cause a iron imbalance. Yeah, well, I guess you can take supplements. Yeah. Yeah, right. I guess I'd be grateful my cult wasn't the murdering kind. I know. Yeah, it's being called a transgender vegan murder cult. I'm like, oh, that's rough. Man, I don't think that's I don't know. I like the vegan and transgender thing. I have no problem with. It's the murder thing I have a problem with. Definitely. But it's very strange the beliefs that kind of develop from I assume that our friend Jack Ziz there, I think Ziz has some problems, some mental health issues. I'm vegan. I hate all that violent and radical thing. Yeah. At the same time, everybody has their own choice if they're vegan or not, right? I don't judge in that regard. Absolutely. Somebody says blueberries. He's very thank you for being here, you guys. I'm just scrolling down. yes, join the Facebook group and like and subscribe here if you can, if you like to. If you like it. If not, you can hit the unlike, the dislike too. Hey, Lori. Good to see you. Good morning. Good morning. Yeah, so you can back it up and watch the craziness unfold. Let me know if you have any questions or comments, and please leave a comment for the algorithm. That'd be great in the video description below, and I'll try to link some of these. I'll link some of these things that I was talking about. I had looked up a timeline. I think there were 2 videos that I saw that kind of, I really tried to gather accurate information, and some of the information I got was conflicting. So then I would like look for like a third or fourth opinion. I was like, okay, I think I got it. So it was interesting stuff. Yeah, isn't it crazy? It is wild. Oh, okay, everybody. I've got to get packing. I think this will most likely be my last live stream, at least from this location. Unless something else comes up. But yeah, this is it. And I will be back next Sunday. I'll be probably streaming somewhat from the road. I'm going to try to, Helicopter had convinced me to do some little videos, to do kind of like a travel blog or vlog as they call it. Yeah. So thank you, Mischief Managed. Yes, we will be safe. We were planning on originally going today, but I'm glad we didn't because the wind is crazy, the snow is crazy. It's just not a good day to travel, and our power was out last night, as some of you know. So, thank you. Yes, we will. I can't wait to see Hef and Alan, and then we're gonna stop in Buffalo on the way home, and hopefully meet up with our friend Clearwater Chad in Buffalo. Coffee first, then packing. Yes, I got to get packing. All right, everyone. Have a great week, and I'll talk to you soon. Anybody needs to get a hold of me, you can shoot me an email at coffeecultsandcrafts@gmail.com, and have a great day.